Hi, everyone. We're going to get started right at 1 o'clock. I just want to say how happy I am that you're here. So we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. It's 1 o'clock. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. Just type in the chat where you're watching from. And if you can see me and hear me, and if you can't, then you're probably going to start typing in that you can't see me. Yay! Dayton, Ohio, New Jersey, Denver, Madison, Seattle, New York, Virginia, New York City, Ontario, Canada. You know, I'm half Canadian, right? My mom's from Toronto. London, amazing. New Jersey, Florida, Virginia, yay, Boston, Beverly, Massachusetts, amazing. That's my hometown. Buffalo, White River Junction, Florida, Toronto, Indianapolis. Oh, yay. I'm so excited. Can see and hear you perfectly. Okay, great. Well, hopefully it will go this well for the rest of the webinar. There are over 300 people registered for this webinar. So I'm a little overwhelmed, but I'm really excited because we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. Hi, Lacey. Oh, I see a lot of familiar faces. Sarah. Oh, awesome. Thank you all for coming. Burlington. Oh, amazing. I just spent a girls' weekend in Lincoln, New Hampshire. Not that it has anything to do with Vermont, but it was amazing and it was beautiful there. And actually, the sun just came out here in sunny Wenham, Massachusetts, north of Boston, right next to Beverly, Mass. And I'm really excited to be here with you today. So without further ado, we're going to get started. I just wanted to jump on here and say hi and say thank you all for coming. Also, quick housekeeping, you are going to get the recording, you're going to get the slides, you're going to get everything. So if you don't receive them by tonight, then you can ping me, but most likely you'll get them right after the webinar. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and we're going to get started. You can post your questions kind of as we go. You know how I roll if you've been on a webinar with me or a Facebook Live. You can post your questions in the Q&A function, and then that's probably the best place to organize them. But if you have a question and you post it in the chat, no big deal. So we'll get started on this journey together. Okay, so I'm so excited to be here with everybody. It really is, it's pretty incredible that I've got such a great response. And now, of course, I can't see the chat, but I'm going to get the chat back. Today, we are talking about how nonprofits should adapt their social media strategy in 2020, because it's a new year. There's a lot going on and a lot has changed. And the way that I teach social media, I am actually teaching it very differently this year. So if you don't know who I am, welcome. I am Julia Campbell. I am an RPCV, Return Peace Corps volunteer. I've spent time in Senegal, 2000, 2002, probably showing my age a little bit there. I'm a mom of two. I am the author of 2 books, one of which is coming out next week. I'm actually going to stop the camera because I feel like it's kind of distracting, but I don't know how to do it. So it's fine. We'll just roll with it. We're going to roll with it because I'm a party of one over here. And if it's distracting to you, just put it away. My new book comes out next week. I'm really excited about it. It's how to mobilize and build your social media community for your nonprofit. Notice it's not how to get 27,000 Facebook followers in 1 week, because that's not what I want to teach. But I am a former / recovering development director, marketing director, kitchen sink director. I know a lot of you are managing multiple responsibilities at your organization, and social media is probably just a small piece of what you do, not all of what you do. So I appreciate you taking some time to be with me today. We're going to talk about 4 different specific topics, and I am going to talk to you about my program, Social Media for Social Good Academy. I'm going to talk about it at the end. It is open until Sunday. You'll get all the details, but we're going to discuss the key changes and what's happening in the current social media landscape and how it affects nonprofits. And there's really 3 seismic shifts that are affecting donor behavior and preferences, and then also how to make sense of the recent changes to Facebook's business model and what to do next. Then also, of course, we're going to go through some tools and apps for social media management and content creation. If you are interested in learning more about the Academy, I encourage you to go to this link, which I should have all queued up to post in the chat, which I am going to try to find it. There it is right there. So if you're interested, take a look, no pressure, but it does close either when we reach 100 and we're a little over halfway there, or when the doors close on Sunday, because either way, I'm starting this thing on Monday. So make a decision. Are you with me? Are you not with me? It's fine if it's not for you this time around, but I wouldn't want you to miss out on learning about it. So make sure that you check out the link at least and make a decision whether or not you're in or you're out, like Project Runway. Okay, the first thing that I want to cover today really involves the social media landscape and how we think that it might be shrinking. Maybe we wish it was shrinking, but it's really not. So one statistic that jumped out at me as I was doing research was that there are more social media users today than there were people in 1971. And that's pretty crazy to think about. So 3.8 billion people, nearly half of the world's population, uses social media. So when people tell me it's a fad or it's a shiny new tool or it's somehow going to go away, I think, well, half of the world's population uses it. It's not a fad. It's not even a trend. It has changed completely the way that we find information, connect to each other, and talk to each other. Whether you love it or you hate it, it represents a complete revolution in human nature. So we're not even talking about tools that are just good for marketing. We're talking about tools that have rewired the human brain and the ways that we talk to each other and communicate with each other. And yes, baby boomers are there too. And yes, young Americans are there too. So we can't really say it's for old people, which we like to say Facebook is probably for old people. We also can't say it's for young people because there's no generalization. It's for everybody. Now, I like this statistic because I have to clarify it. I have to qualify it a little bit. We spend an average of 2 hours and 24 minutes per day using social media. That's the average social media user. And Eric says RIP Vine. I love Vine, but have you used BUIT, BYTE, which is the kind of the Vine 2.0. But we'll talk about emerging social media sites later. So in my experience and what I've been seeing is that, yes, we are still using social media 2 hours and 24 minutes a day, but I don't think we scroll as mindlessly. Maybe that's just me. I have taken the apps off my phone as much as I can because I need them for work, obviously. But I'm not just spending 3 hours on Facebook. And I'm actually trying to put my phone away at night. I'm trying to put my phone away when I watch television. I'm trying to put my phone away when I have conversations and dinners and spend time with my kids. I'm trying to be much more intentional about how I use social media. And I do see that as a trend. So I think even just 5 years ago, we all spent hours and hours and hours scrolling and liking and commenting. And now I think there's a backlash where we're not doing that, where we are more intentional with the time that we're spending. So I think that can benefit nonprofits. And I will definitely tell you how. Also, we can't have a discussion about social media without talking about TikTok. It's the sixth largest social network. So it has 800 million monthly users, which is the statistic that a lot of people like to cite. But of course, more than 60% of those users are in China. And then what's also important to understand is that TikTok's success has not come at the expense of other sites. So it's not like TikTok is cannibalizing Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat because they've all reported increases in their audiences. So TikTok's popular, but it's not taking audiences away from anybody else. Reddit, Pinterest, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Sina Weibo. I've actually never heard of that. I looked it up. They're growing fast too, but these are for international audiences. Mostly they're things to put on your radar. I'm not saying you have to adopt them, jump on them, learn about them immediately, but it is up to us as social media managers to have these different platforms on our radar and to understand the pros and the cons and the strengths and the weaknesses of most of them. It's also true that people do use social media to discover things. Now, this is something that I think hasn't been explored nearly enough. The patterns and the behaviors of social media users to actually discover and find things that they care about and that they want to purchase or they want to participate in. But 20% of internet users do look at social media ads. I have definitely bought things from social media advertising. Actually, where's my planner? I have an amazing planner called Define Your Day. I found it from a social media ad and I absolutely love it. No regrets. Facebook still dominates the social media landscape. I don't think we're going to get away from that. I love that YouTube is number 2 because I don't see YouTube as a traditional social media site. We don't go there to connect with friends and family. We use YouTube as a search engine. So I'm not sure. I don't really agree that it's a social media site because you don't go there to look at your friend's baby pictures. You go there to find out how to fix, a clogged sink or how to tie a bow tie, which I actually just did that the other day. So we have to understand how they're all being used. But yeah, Facebook's not going anywhere, whether we hate it or not. Facebook's future is still set on world domination, as we know. The Q4 earnings call, which I listened to because I felt like I had to listen to Mark Zuckerberg talk about Facebook, was very enlightening and interesting. So they announced that 2.9 billion people use their services each month and 2.3 billion people use at least one of the services daily. I mean, that's a huge reach. They also announced their privacy checkup tool. So if you're concerned about the different features, the different apps, the different things that are linking to your Facebook account and taking your data, you can check up on that. And they want to make it easier to control your account and control the privacy. The other interesting push that I've noticed is the push towards communities. Now, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I know of the Super Bowl ad where they advertised Facebook groups, these private communities that people are setting up. And that is their push and their focus. So I actually really like this quote from Mark Zuckerberg. He says, as our networks and communities have gotten so large, we increasingly crave a sense of intimacy and privacy. And I've been saying this for years. With the proliferation of apps and notifications and constantly being on and people grabbing our attention, we are craving this human connection. And that's going to be a huge trend emerging in social media, which I hope is emerging right now. Also, AR and VR, augmented reality, virtual reality, they're taking over. Facebook calls it the holy grail of social experiences. I see implications for not only fundraising and marketing, but for how we define the workplace, for how we show up to meetings, for how we exist in the world. So these are all things that need to be on our radar. And of course, stories, ephemeral, 24-hour disappearing content, these are booming. Stories are growing 15 times the rate of newsfeed content. Facebook and Instagram, this is the rumor, may even merge the feed and story format, which that would get crazy. I don't know how that would look, but sure. Also, Instagram donation sticker, with the advent of these tools where we can raise money for causes that we care about and we can donate money to friends and families' causes. They're really huge. These are huge. There are huge implications. Even if these tools don't fit perfectly into your workflow and your design for your fundraising program, we can't deny them. So we'll talk a little bit about these. What's interesting about the Facebook donate sticker, and Sarah says, love the donate stickers. On Facebook right now, you can only donate to a specific fundraiser that has been already set up. So on Instagram, you can donate to a specific nonprofit. Hold on. Take some of my ginger ale there. Okay. In terms of Facebook advertising, it is still pay to play. It's been pay to play for years and years and years. I did love in the Q4 earnings call when they said 140 small businesses use our services. The vast majority use our services for free. And I wanted to say, yeah, well, do they use them well? Are they getting any results from them? But the point being, 8 million advertisers, 4 million advertisers in stories, and not showing any sign of giving up. In terms of changes, I mean, there's so many changes on the horizon, and I'm not going to focus a lot on changes today, but there are some big changes coming to Twitter. I think the trend is becoming, we want more control over our feeds. We want more control over what we see. We want more control over who we follow, and we want more control over what the platforms are doing with our information and with our data. Those are definitely trends. We're kind of taking the power back. We love these tools. We use them for a while. We drank from the fire hose, and now we kind of want to rein it in. So in terms of the changes that are coming to all of these social media sites, I really do see a trend towards us taking our power back as much as we can, because obviously these sites are free and we can't control what they do. They are big business, but I have seen this kind of backlash towards this free-for-all information sharing and information gathering. And for Instagram, the biggest trend that we need to pay attention to as marketers is the hiding of likes. So I'm not sure how I feel about the hiding of likes. I don't know who it benefits. I don't really understand the point of hiding of likes. I mean, I guess because people feel badly if they don't get likes. I'm not really sure. So I don't know if this is something that's going to roll out or if it's going to stick or if people are going to kind of be freaking out about it. You can still see follower count and you can still see your own engagement and you can still see exactly how many people have liked your post if you have an Instagram business account in the insights function. But just things to pay attention to, just trends trends in the wind, the way the wind's blowing. So I also wanted to talk about 3 seismic shifts in donor behavior because I know that they are affecting our day-to-day work, and I know that they are affecting how we interact and how we engage on social media. So number 1, which has huge implications for social media and social media fundraising, small donors across the board are disappearing. So if you read, and you must read, Giving Tuesday's 2019 report, read all of their reports. So they reported a decline in general and mid-level donors, which are those people who make gifts less than $250. Now, what this says to me is that people are not understanding what we do. They don't understand that a gift of under $250 can have an actually huge impact, especially if it's a monthly gift, to most of our missions. And philanthropy is not being democratized. And it's kind of in the hands of the uber wealthy and people that can make major gifts. Because I've heard from people, especially on holidays like Giving Tuesday, can I donate $10? Is that going to make a difference? And I always say yes, absolutely. Because what if everyone said that? Can you imagine? So that's the way that we're going. So we need to absolutely convince our donors and our supporters that their donations matter. And I will show you how to do that. I'll show you how to demonstrate impact in your social media posts. But it's our job to bring these donors back. It's our jobs to make them feel appreciated. And it's our jobs to show them that their $10, their $20, their $100 can make a difference. The other reality is that the playing field is just getting more crowded. Also, we know that wealth disparity and the wealth gap, especially in the United States, is growing. People have less disposable income. Trust in institutions is faltering. There's all sorts of things that we have to combat. The second seismic shift is that demographics are shifting. We have to deal as fundraisers, as marketers, as nonprofit professionals with 5 distinct generations, actually probably 6 distinct generations right now. So we are communicating with the silent generation. You think they're not on Facebook? Oh, they are. Boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. We have to have strategies to deal with 5 distinct generations. Now, not everybody, I'm not going to generalize every single generation and say all boomers are the same or all Gen X is the same, right? I'm just going to say there are different strategies and there are different trends, because boomers traditionally are loyal. They're very loyal to nonprofits that they give to. They've given to them forever. They are legacy givers. Maybe their family gave. They tend to give to larger, more established institutions, maybe their alma mater, maybe hospitals. That's just the trend. That's not every single boomer. Meanwhile, millennials and Gen Z, they are kind of fly by night. They're like, whatever just tickles my fancy at the moment. What's my friend raising money for? What am I reading in the news? What am I interested in this moment? So it's very different. So we do have to understand that our strategies match up with these winds of change, right? And the expectations are changing. Now, I wouldn't even say I'm in the younger generation, but you better believe I expect a frictionless donation experience. You better believe I expect personalization. I want you to know who I am. Younger people, especially, they really want participation at a deeper level, and they want to be recognized by their networks. And that's why social media fundraising is so popular and is taking off. Look at the 2 apps that have most recently come into the marketplace, created by millennials and Gen Z. So this is Millie on the left, and I know the founder, and she's fantastic. She said she wanted to create Tinder for charities, and she basically did. So you go into the app, you can choose the causes that you like. You can choose a local or a national organization, and you put some money in, and then you swipe right and swipe left on charities that you like. I mean, we should all be terrified of that. But the whole point is that the power is in the donor's hands. The power is in the donor's hands. We can't fight it. because this is the new way. This is the trend. And then also on the right-hand side of your screen, this is the BUIT app, because a girl in Ohio said she was sitting in her college dorm and she's like, why is it so hard to volunteer? I don't want to call someone on the phone. No one is open on the weekends. I can't get an email response. I want volunteering to be as easy as calling an Uber, because this is the expectation that people have, that younger generations have. So we can fight it or we can embrace it. Also, the pervasive use of technology. Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Venmo. I had a client and they're very lovely, but they have a bus that drives around a local city and they have incredible visibility. And I said, why not just put your Venmo handle on the bus? I mean, why not? You might get a few $100. And the board member said to me, well, I don't use Venmo. And I said, well, I'm really sorry that you don't use Venmo, but that doesn't mean it's not an opportunity. And it doesn't mean your donors don't use it either, right? Oh, we are not our donors. Look at the Salvation Army and what they did this past Christmas. They had cashless donations, because I always go past the Salvation Army and I'm always sad because I never have any cash on me. Also, of course, Facebook fundraising. It's a huge opportunity for organizations. This webinar is not about Facebook fundraising, but if we turn our nose up at these different tools and these opportunities to build our missions, to connect with more people and to raise awareness and to raise funds, we're going to get left behind. Play live. What about live streaming? What about live streaming on YouTube, live streaming on other platforms, right? So you can donate through YouTube. And I know it's not necessarily part of our workflow because we don't get the donors' information, but it is an important feature of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And it's something that people are using and our donors are using. Live stream fundraising is another one. So there's a lot of benefits to live stream fundraising. It doesn't have to be aiming. You can live stream anything. You could live stream your walk, your bake sale, your dance-a-thon, and raise money. There's so many benefits to live streaming. So Extra Life, this is a initiative that raised millions of dollars because people across the country were live streaming not just video games. They were live streaming playing board games and card games. I mean, I don't know who wants to watch that, but I don't know. It's what's happening. It's what people like to do. And they built an entire community around it and raised millions of dollars. You know, do a Bob Ross cosplay paint stream. Get creative. Your people want you to do that. So how can we thrive in the new normal? Oh, Dana says, what's the name of the volunteering app? I will write it out. It's called the BUIT app. I'm not 100% sure if it's available, and then Millie app, if it's available nationwide yet, but I would look it up. I saw it written up in Fast Company. So hopefully it got some funding. Hopefully it's national now. So how can we thrive in this new normal? I guess that's really the question. I'm going to talk to you about some strategies that you can use to future-proof your social media strategy. So number one, don't panic. We've been here before. We've dealt with these shifts. We dealt with telephones. We dealt with the internet. We dealt with the advent of email marketing. I mean, we've dealt with all of these shifts before, so we can't panic, but we also can't just say, no, thanks, we're too busy. So I encourage you to not close your mind to a lot of these different technologies and a lot of these different shifts just because you're too busy. And also, if you learn one thing here today, visual storytelling wins on social media every time. Visual storytelling wins. That's what wins. Can't get around it. These sites were created to tell stories and to connect as human beings. That's actually why they were created. I know they're all advertising platforms now, and there's like political flame wars all the time, but that's why they were created, and that's what really works. I also firmly believe in preaching to the choir, especially for nonprofits, because why would you try to convince someone that is completely opposed to your mission, that is never going to see eye to eye with you, to come over to your side? You can try that. And I think that it's valuable. And I think for those of us that want to change hearts and minds, especially around social justice and inequity, that's absolutely valuable to try to have these conversations, but let the choir do it for you. Preach to the choir, give them the tools, get them inspired, give them the messaging so that they can then go out and spread the gospel, right? The Mormon church really has it right. If you guys have seen Book of Mormon, they train people. They have missionaries. You should have missionaries for your mission. They're called missionaries because it's so much more effective when people hear about it from people they know, love, and trust. So preach to the choir, learn about your choir, learn about what they want, learn about what they're interested in, give it to them and give them support and training and help along the way. Also, provide value. Can we start providing some kind of value on social media rather than simply pushing out promotions and posting our blog posts and posting our events? I would really like to see that. Let's start posting things that are actually helpful, that can get shared, that are interesting, that are relevant, that are timely. These are two great examples. My entire phone and my desktop on my Google Drive, they are completely cluttered with screenshots from nonprofits doing a great job of that. So those are just a couple of examples. The other thing I want you to do on social media, please explain the problem, because if I'm not on board with the problem, which is the why, I am not going to be on board with the how and the what, which is what you do. So stop telling me about your features. You can tell me about your features once in a while, but focus on the why. Why do I care about this problem? Why is it relevant? Why is it urgent? Why is it timely? Why is it emotional? And invite me in to help solve it because you have a solution. And if I don't agree with the problem, I'm never going to agree with your solution. So we need to stop telling people, we have the solution, we have the solution, we have the solution, without telling them what the problem is. This is where emotional visual storytelling comes in. And this is the best type of content, obviously, to share on social media. Show your worth, demonstrate your impact. This is what donors want. This is what your supporters want. They want to know, what changes have you made? They want to know your nonprofit is the right one to solve the problem. They want to know that they've made a difference by being part of this movement, by being part of this community. And then this is one that I get a lot of pushback on because people are very uncomfortable with this. Show me what you stand for. If you don't stand for anything, Burr, then what will you fall for? Right? Hamilton quote. If you do not stand for something, then why am I following you? You stand for something, whether you're a historical society or an animal shelter or a little tiny museum or a library or a land trust. Whatever you do, you stand for something and you advocate for something at the end of the day. You need to become the go-to resource for me that I can trust and say, oh, I know, see, for Amira is a great example. I know that I can go to Amira for like no BS stuff, like information on sex trafficking and sexual violence and things that I actually really care about. We need to do our part to combat fake news. I hate that word or term, whatever. Myths and misconceptions and stereotypes. This is why we exist, and we all have to get over our fear of offending people. No matter what you do, someone is going to be offended. I'm just here to tell you that right now. Someone is offended by me right now on this webinar. I am sure that they are. People get offended all the time. My goal is not to offend people. My goal is to just tell things like I see it and to give you the honest truth and to give you my experience and expertise. And that should be your goal as well. If people are offended by your truth, if people are offended by your mission, then you can just kind of bless them and say, okay, like maybe this is not for you. Oh, we just have to be real about that. I saw this post by Justin Wheeler and I had to just cut and paste it because I couldn't say it any better myself. Can we stop overcomplicating these new strategies? We have to stop overthinking. We have to stop overcomplicating. So I am definitely going to send you all of the slides, and I will be posting them later, probably on Facebook or Twitter, or any of my number of sites, so you can get this. But if you follow Justin Wheeler on LinkedIn, this is such a great post. So this is live stream fundraising, and this is the hugest trend. I don't even mean live stream gaming. I think that's what he was talking about. I'm thinking about connecting with your audience authentically through live streaming. This is what Amira does. As if you can't tell, they're one of my favorite organizations. So their executive director gets on Instagram Live once a week and just kind of shares some wins, some challenges. She shares what we need to know for the week, and they heavily promote it, and they are building an audience, and they're earning trust and credibility, which is what social media should be about at the end of the day. Also, have an escape plan. Have a way to bring people off of social media onto your email list, which is where you can create a longer term connection with them. Because as we know, we don't control social media. Twitter could start charging tomorrow. Facebook could close. Vine, like RIP Vine, right? We don't want to build our house on rented land. So let's use social media for the strengths that it provides and the power of connection, the potential for spreading the word, but let's bring people over to our email list. A very wise man once said, this is Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk's biggest fan, but Gary V. He said, document, don't create. And I've said that almost every day since he said it, because I think it's so just captures exactly the problem that we all have with social media management. We think we have to create this perfect content. We have to create these perfectly produced videos. It's not the case. Document what you're doing. Document, don't create. Take an intern aside and ask them a few questions, just like To Write Love on Her Arms, or share a little mission moment, share videos at an event, share a picture. Look at this AYS. I love this. I love AYS because my friend at AYS and going outside. I love it. Share these moments. Think about it as documenting your mission, documenting the reason that you exist, documenting exactly what you do every single day, giving us a glimpse, like lifting the veil. You guys think that people know what you do, and guess what? They don't. They don't know what you do. And they probably all think that you're funded by the government, right? That's a gigantic myth and misconception I deal with every single one of my clients. Someone will come up to them and say, oh, doesn't the government just pay for that? No. So you need to tell them. Repurpose and recycle. Okay. One great story or piece of content can be shared in numerous different ways. So don't think you have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And then can we talk about having fun? Let's start having fun again. And I know we deal with hugely serious issues, and I'm not saying to dumb down the issues that we deal with, but social media, this is what gets shared. People ask me all the time, how do I get more engagement? How do I get more shares? And the reality is, post that entertain, post that inspire, post that teach, post that tell a story. So don't worry about discounts or sales. Worry about the first 4 and you'll be good as gold. Look at this. I love this one. She doesn't even go here. This was on October 3rd, Mean Girls Day. I just saw Mean Girls on Broadway in Boston. It was so amazing. It was really, really good. So she doesn't even go here. And if you don't know that reference, then watch Mean Girls. Also, the TSA on Instagram is my favorite Instagram account. You should follow them. They have such a great sense of humor. If you read this caption, they have a really great voice, and they know how to use Instagram because Instagram is a little bit lighter, a little bit more entertaining. Do you know who slays on social media? Librarians. Libraries. I do a lot of webinars for specific library associations. And in my research, I found that they are awesome on social media. So follow your local public library, but just look, who's your author crush? What a great question. Think about how you can be relevant. And I love a good Simpsons reference any day of the week, but there's different ways that you can incorporate these kinds of things into your work. And I'm not saying steal exactly what these organizations are doing. You do have to get creative. You do have to make it relevant. Look at this. You think the UN Refugee Agency is like a barrel of laughs and they're having laughs over there? I don't think so. But I love this. It's using emojis, it's using color, it's using Twitter, the difference between you and refugees. I love it. I love that. And your favorite way to help children every day. So use these sites the way they were meant to be used. And the key with all of this is to be proactive, not just reactive. So we can't just constantly be reacting. We can't just be putting out fires and spinning our wheels and throwing spaghetti on the wall and use whatever cliche you want. We need to be giving people a good reason to connect with us. We are not entitled to this attention. We're not entitled to this, notifications. We're not entitled to getting our posts in the newsfeed of everybody else. So we need to think about each platform and the strengths that it provides and how we can really use it to reach that community. So your new mantra, less is more, focus over frantic. I love that mantra. And then my 3 keys to social media success, can't get away from consistency. You can't get away. Consistency means being intentional. So when I say consistency, I don't mean like, let's eat a salad once a week and think that we're going to lose 20 pounds. You have to be consistent and intentional and thoughtful. You have to share content that people actually want to see. And then you have to have confidence in what you're doing and your mission. And people that tell me they don't have sexy missions, I'm sorry. Like, if you don't think your mission is sexy, why is anybody else going to think it's sexy? It's just like RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anybody else? If you can't love your mission, how are you going to ask somebody else for money? So don't ever tell me you don't have an unsexy cause. I don't buy it. All right. Social media and technology are not the agents of change. They are the tools. We, the connected people, are the agents of change. I love that quote. All right. Oh man, I can't believe I got through this in 40 minutes. I'm going to take some questions. I see some questions coming in. I'm going to just talk really briefly about social media for Social Good Academy. You can ask questions about that. You can ask questions about anything I talked about today, but I do want to be very clear about what's in the course, who it's for, what we're going to be doing, because the doors close on Sunday. Like I said, I'm ready to get started on Monday. You're either with me, you're not with me. So there's going to be 6 modules that are taught live. So that's 6 weeks of live training. There's 4 hours. And actually, I think I've added another hour. So 5 hours of video. There's weekly live Q&As in a private Facebook group. There's checklists, worksheets, resource guides, all that great stuff. If you've ever taken a course with me or a webinar with me, you know I have a lot of bonus materials for you. And then the Facebook group that's only for students that I'm in all the time, that's going to give you the deeper support and peer guidance. So really quickly, module 1, this is week 1, and we're going to be talking about clarity, how to clarify your goals, how to clarify your audience, how to identify who's already in your community, and then how to identify who you want to attract and how you can attract them, and what to do if you're targeting multiple audiences, because that's a huge pain point for a lot of you, I know. Module 2, I'm going to give you my fast track formula for selecting the very best social media platforms for you. And then we're going to do a quick assessment of some of the most popular platforms. We're going to do strengths, weaknesses, pros, and cons. Then we're going to create a work plan and figure out how we deal with FOMO and shiny object syndrome. So it's a lot in module 2. Module 3, the 6 pillars of social media content that is going to help build your following, engage your community, how to remix content, how to curate content so you're not just creating it from scratch, where to find it, how to do it, how to manage all of this. So I'm not just going to kind of throw a lot of stuff at you without telling you how to manage it. Module 4, creating your social media calendar, your content calendar. So this is how often, your cadence, how to balance all of the different things that you need to post, your news, events, things coming at you from programs, and then how to balance that with spontaneity because you want a little bit of white space in your calendar, right? So we're going to talk about all of that. Week 5, we're going to talk about metrics. This was a huge identified point of struggle and challenge for a lot of you, I know, in my Facebook group and people that have emailed me. So we're going to go over how to choose which metrics to track, of course, which is based on your goals and objectives, some popular analytics dashboard. I'm going to show you a simple spreadsheet, and we're going to go over some benchmarks so you kind of know where to start. And then the last week, which is kind of my favorite week, is time management and productivity, because I believe busy is not a badge of honor. And I completely subscribe to the philosophy Marie Forleo said, activity does not equal accomplishment. I love that. So how to set boundaries, how to create a system, how to time batch. What are some strategies you can use to manage this always on job with all of the other responsibilities that you have? And then getting buy-in. How can you really secure buy-in and advocate for yourself? And of course, there's a ton of bonuses in there for you. And I'm still adding some, and I'm probably going to add a couple more. Definitely, I have one in mind that I haven't announced yet, but there's a lot of different bonuses that are going to take you deeper into specific topics that we talk about. All right, so I'm going to go to questions. Make sure if you want to check it out, I'm going to put it again into the chat, that you check it out, because doors close really soon, either when we hit 100 people or on Sunday. Okay, I'm just going to take a sip of water. No, my ginger ale. Okay. Let's see. Got some questions. Natalie, how can, it says answer live. I don't know what that means. Okay. How can nonprofit marketing teams experiment with new or newer platforms like Snapchat and TikTok authentically, especially if we aren't personally on these platforms without seeming like we're trying to be cool or just jumping on the bandwagon? Now, what I think would be funny is if you kind of made fun of yourself, right? So if I went on TikTok, and my daughter's 10, she does not have a phone. She's not on TikTok, right? Her friends are. And just made fun of myself. And I was like, I'm just horrifying my daughter and her friends, and it's going to be really funny and this and that. And just, if you're just kind of loose and use it, and you kind of make fun of yourself and you say you're experimenting, and, you're just kind of seeing what the vibe is here and seeing if it's worth it. I just think not taking yourself too seriously on these platforms, especially when you're starting out, that's going to help you. That's going to help you appear that. That's going to help you avoid seeming like you're trying to be too cool or just jumping on the bandwagon. Okay, actually, Joanna's a good question. What's the time and length of each module? Okay, so if you go to the course page, you are going to get a link to the syllabus and the live training schedule. So each week will be a webinar, and it's going to go as long as we need it to. So I schedule them for 45 minutes to an hour, but if there are tons of questions, I'll go as long as it needs to. So I would budget 45 minutes to an hour. You get the recording every week. And then once a week, I'm going to do a live Q&A inside the Facebook group. And then, since it's such a small group, you'll have access to me via email throughout the week. And I should have said, you will have lifetime access to everything. So you can even take it again when I run it again. I might run it again this year, I don't know. And you'll have lifetime access to all the videos, all the PDFs, all the worksheets. So don't worry if you feel like stressed out that you can't do it in the 6 weeks, because that's a long time. That's a short time, actually, but you will have access to everything and the Facebook community. So you'll be able to get that support. Okay. Anonymous attendee. How can organizations add their information to Millie? You have to go and look up the Millie app. I know that they take applications, so I'm not actually sure, but Millie, it was written up in TechCrunch. If you just Google Millie app nonprofits, and if you email me later, I can find you the owner's email and give it to you, because she is taking applications. You have to apply and go through a whole process, but I absolutely think it's worth it. All right. Kat says, how do you define visual storytelling? Does it need to include videos or just photos and stories? Visual storytelling is any kind of visual, so a photo or a video. And it also doesn't have to be highly produced. I mean, you could tell a story. I've seen on Instagram fantastic visual storytelling with just a great photo and a 2-sentence caption. So, visual storytelling, as long as it conveys some kind of story and it tells me a little bit about the person, the conflict, what are the stakes. So, the difference between marketing and storytelling is that storytelling has stakes. There's stakes involved. There's some kind of conflict. There's something that's urgent and relevant and timely. And as long as you attach a visual to that and just kind of tell me what's going on and why I should care about it and who this person is and what's happening, then in my mind, especially for social media, that constitutes visual storytelling. All right. Carol says, hi, Carol. You just said share videos at events. Some people have told me that your Instagram feed should look cohesive. What do you think about that? I just had this actual conversation with a client because I'm not going to reveal too much about it, but they had this exact question about cohesion. I think cohesion is overrated. I think that you should be true to your brand and true to your mission. But you also should spice things up a little bit. Like if you're a school and all you do is post pictures of kids, maybe one day post a picture of parents' night or a martini or something fun. I don't know. So I think you should keep people a little bit on their toes. You shouldn't use gimmicks and you shouldn't certainly go out of your comfort zone. But as long as you're true to your mission and your brand and what you're trying to do, and that's why you have to have a clear goal with every single platform you're using. Like, why are you using Instagram? Why are you using Facebook? What do you hope to accomplish? And who are you trying to reach? And if everything is designed around those 3 questions, then you will have cohesion. But cohesion doesn't mean like wearing a uniform every day. Cohesion just means, I mean, I watch a lot of Project Runway. And I'm definitely not a fashion designer, but I'm super into this latest season if you've been watching it. But to me, cohesion just means every dress that's designed looks like it could be owned by the same customer, but they're not all alike and they're not all the same colors and they're not all the same fabrics, but it makes sense that the same woman would have them in her closet. So that's Christian Siriano. That's Christian Siriano's definition of cohesion, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay, Jennifer, can you talk a little bit about optimizing social media ads to convert users? We tend to get a lot of click-throughs, very little action. Well, I think it depends who you're advertising to. So when you're doing ads, you only want to advertise to warm audiences. So for instance, if I was advertising my social media for Social Good Academy, I wouldn't advertise it to someone that had never met me or a completely cold stranger, because why would they immediately want to join my academy? So you need to advertise to warm audiences. That's why the Facebook pixel, putting the Facebook pixel on your website is so important. Uploading your email list and creating a custom audience and then a lookalike audience, or advertising to people that have watched your videos and engage with you on Facebook. But only advertise to a warm audience. Okay, Jennifer says, my boss is hesitant to let me do the Social Media Academy because it seems pretty basic. Will there be usable content for those of us who've worked in social media for 10 plus years? Maybe something about how to find our target audience, specific demographic communities in our geographic area online. Well, Jennifer, it really depends on your goals. So I designed Social Media Academy for the social media manager who really feels like they've been using social media and not getting results, and they want a plan, and they want to throw away all of the Google Chrome tabs that are open, all the podcasts, all the webinars, and they just want a streamlined like A to Z blueprint. And that's really how I designed it. So we will be talking about in module 2, how to figure out who is in your audience right now and how to attract your desired audience. But so I'm not sure if that's too basic for you or not, but I do think that even if you've been working in social media for 10 years, if you're not getting the results that you want, then you probably need maybe like a tune-up or like a little bit of a boot camp and kind of go back to basics and revisit the essentials. So it's much less about tools. It's much less about like, this is how you do a Google ad than it is about the very specific kind of principles that you need to get right, and then how to put all of the different pieces together in an essential way. So I want to strip out overwhelm. I want to strip out all of this, all of this shiny object syndrome and fear of missing out. Your board member tells you you have to be on Snapchat, all that kind of stuff, and show you how you can really prioritize and streamline what you're doing to get the results that you want, especially if it's not 100%, if it's not your 24-hour-a-day job, right? If it's not your 40-hour-a-week job, I should say. Okay, anonymous attendee. There's a lot of anonymous attendees here. Have you ever seen or conducted a survey of social media followers to find out what content they'd like to see and how they'd like to engage with you? Yes. So I have, let me think specifically. I don't have examples that I can show you right now, but certainly when you're looking to determine what kind of content your target audience wants, you can send out surveys via SurveyMonkey. You can call people on the phone. You can do a Facebook Live. I know that when I was building this course, I went into all of my social media communities and just asked, and people responded. And this is actually how I built the course, was based on the responses that I got from my Facebook group, from my LinkedIn connections, from my Twitter followers, from my blog subscribers, from my email subscribers. So I went to every variety of community and asked them, what is your biggest struggle? What is your biggest challenge? What do you want to see? And they gave me answers. So you could do it in a really informal way. You could set up a Google form. You could set up SurveyMonkey. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Okay. Alethea, do you have any one piece of advice for someone starting out in nonprofit social media and communications? My one piece of advice is get crystal clear on who you're talking to. Just get crystal clear on who you're talking to and what do they want to hear from you. So we get focused on our promotions, our agenda. We got to promote this event. We have to promote this blog post. We have to, I don't know, promote whatever else we have going on. Get focused on your audience. What are they interested in? And newsflash, they are interested in other things other than your organization. They're multifaceted. So you have to find out what they're interested in and create content around that. That is Communications 101. Laura says, can you talk about Yahoo fundraising? I know literally nothing about Yahoo fundraising. I didn't know Yahoo was still a thing. Maybe that's just me. I would love to learn more, and I am going to Google it after this. I know nothing about Yahoo fundraising. And if someone can send me a link, that would be amazing. Oh, YouTube fundraising. Okay. Yes. I was thinking Yahoo fundraising. I don't know what that is. Okay. YouTube fundraising. You sign up with Google for Nonprofits. You get a YouTube account, a YouTube channel. You sign up with YouTube for Nonprofits. They're rolling out a suite of charitable giving tools. So it's still in beta. Not everybody can use them, but basically they're going to have fundraisers and the donate button like Facebook. That's what they're aiming to do. Right now, if you have a YouTube account for nonprofits, you can add a little text overlay, like a clickable link onto your videos, and you can add a donation card onto your videos. It's like a pop-up, and creators can also fundraise for you. There's also live stream fundraising via YouTube that you can do if you have a creator that wants to raise money for you during a live stream on YouTube fundraising. So definitely check it out. Okay, Joanne, you explained the live modules, but please clarify if live modules means participants have to show up at a specific time. Yes, and I'm beginning to think that I need to post this link to, let me see, the syllabus. I'm going to post this because this will show you. So you do have to show up a specific date and time if you want to take it live. And the reason why I did that is because, first of all, I just love delivering content live. I just think that it is much more helpful. I get the feeling for what people are stuck on. I just didn't want to record a bunch of videos and kind of put them in a membership site and have you watch them all at different times and kind of get lost. So with the live webinars, each week, we're going to go through a webinar on Zoom live. You can get the recording and watch it later. And then I'm going to do a Q&A every Thursday. So if you didn't get a chance to watch it, or if you did watch it and you implemented things, and then you wanted to ask some questions on Facebook Live, of course, you can always ask them inside the community. So let me just pull this up. So this is the syllabus and live schedule. So you can see we're going live on Zoom. And unfortunately, just based on my insane schedule, it can't be 3 p.m. ET every Monday. Sometimes it's 2 p.m. But I do give you the entire schedule here. It's the same link every time, which is great. So it's the same Zoom link every time. You're going to get access to that. You're going to get a password. So you can just access the Zoom link and just log into that one Zoom link every single time, and you can add it to your calendar very, very easily. So ideally, if you really feel like you want to take it when it's live, you will. And if you can't, then you can watch the recording kind of at your leisure and come back with questions and turn in the homework, when you can. And the homework is really not going to be very arduous, and we're probably going to do it on the Facebook Live. Okay. So I know Jennifer says, I know, and I felt very heard with the Chrome bookmarks. You've been looking at my Chrome bookmarks, haven't you? You don't even want to see how many tabs I have open right now. I need to close. I know. So that's my goal. I want all the bookmarks and the tabs gone. Cheryl says, which results are most important, building a community or increasing donations and volunteers? I think that when you build a community, you then prime the pump so that you can increase donations. So I just think that I am a really good example here, even though I'm not a nonprofit. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been writing a blog post every single week. I've been going on Facebook Live. I've been doing free webinars. I've been speaking. I've been writing books. I've been in the trenches. Like, I've been giving a lot of information. And I don't think that you can ask people for money until you've built that trust and credibility. I just don't think that you can start from scratch and all of a sudden start raising money on Facebook or start a GoFundMe campaign. And Seth Godin says it the best. He says Kickstarter should be kick finisher, because you can't kickstart something on Kickstarter. If you start a Kickstarter, but you have nobody to ask and you have no trust and credibility and no community built up, it's not going to work. So the best campaigns, the most successful campaigns, already have that community built up. And we should be spending, if we're fundraisers, especially, like 80 to 90% of our time on building these relationships and building this community, so that when we do need something and when we do come to someone with an ask, they say, oh, I trust you. I've heard about your problem. I believe in it. It's really relevant. I've heard your stories. I know I can make a difference. So that is, to me, what social media is all about. It's building that community that you can then mobilize when you need to mobilize them. So that is, and on that note, I think I'm going to end. It's right at 2. If I didn't get you, yes, give, ask. Also called, I think it was Gary Vee that wrote this book, Jab, Jab, Right Hook. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Gary Vee, but Jab, 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 Right Hook, I think, is his book. It's exactly that. Give, and then ask. And then the ask is actually not shameful, because you're inviting them to be a part of the solution to a problem that they've told you that they care about. So thank you, everyone. I hope you take a look at social media for Social Good Academy. Send me any questions. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Go on in, ask questions, let me know what you think. And I will definitely be sending you an email to follow up with the recording and with slides. So thank you all for spending this time with me. And I hope to see you very soon. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.